following subject matter is real and only intended for mature audiences. Discretion is advised.
People are dead after deputies say a man went on a shooting rampage.
I knew a week before she died I was going to kill her.
I can tell you the scene out there is absolutely horrific.
Nobody knows where this individual may strike next.
This is 10 Minute Murder.
Welcome to 10 Minute Murder, brief and bingeable true crime. I'm Joe, I'm the host, and thanks for joining today. And I need to let you guys know about something that I did to myself in case the coroner is asking questions later on. You guys will have some answers for them. I sprayed this stuff in my mouth. It's called Singer's Soothing Throat Spray, extra strength. Now, obviously for this podcast, I don't sing, but I do talk a lot. And for my regular job, there are times when a lot of talking is involved. And this last couple of weeks, I've been talking a whole bunch. Usually I drink hot tea or room temperature water, but someone told me about this Singer's sore throat spray. So I thought I'd give it a shot. And just now, right before you're hearing these words, I tried it out for the first time and imagine peppercorns, freshly ground peppercorns over some licorice, and you put that into a mist form and you spray it into your mouth, the back of your tongue. It's absolutely awful. Let me tell you what the bottle says here. Singer's Saving Grace soothes, moistens, and lubricates overworked throat tissues, clears thick mucus, promotes voice clarity and vocal comfort. So hopefully my voice is extra comforting today because I sacrificed for you. I just need you to know that. While I pretend like my mouth doesn't taste like Jägermeister, let's get to today's story. In 2010, a video called One Boy, Two Kittens was posted on YouTube and Facebook. The viral clip showed a man playing with two kittens before putting them into a very tight vacuum seal bag and vacuuming out all the air, suffocating the helpless kittens. Outraged, almost 4,000 people formed a Facebook group to build evidence and find the identity of this mystery man on the video. Soon, the name Luka Magnotta popped up. The police were contacted, but at first, they weren't too worried. The guy just killed some cats, and it wasn't a big deal to them. It wasn't until his next video that they realized what Luka Magnotta was really capable of. Luka Rocco Magnotta was born Eric Clinton Kirk Newman on July 24, 1982, in Scarborough, Ontario, to teenage parents, 16-year-old Anna Yorkin and 17-year-old Don Newman. Anna, even though she later claimed it was all Don's idea, homeschooled Luka and his two siblings, Conrad and Melissa, who didn't see a normal school until the 6th grade. When they then finally attended school with other students, Luka was reportedly severely bullied and eventually dropped out before he did actually earn his diploma. Luka described his mother as being a woman obsessed with cleanliness, often wearing a surgical mask, rubber gloves, and repeatedly washing her children's hands. Luka also said that at times she would lock her children out of the house or car and put their pet rabbits outside in the winter to freeze to death. On the other hand, Anna described Luka's father as a proud Nazi and an abusive husband and spouse. Don was later diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1994, which accelerated his and Anna's decision to separate. After the divorce, Anna stayed single for a while, but she met a man named Leo. Soon, she and the children, including Luka, ended up moving into an apartment in Toronto with Leo. However, things didn't work out very well for Luka. His new stepfather was extremely abusive towards him, both emotionally and physically. As a result, the now 16-year-old Luka was sent to live with his maternal grandmother, Phyllis, with whom he felt pretty safe. When Luka was asked about Leo later on, he only commented saying, quotes, "He was, is, and always will be a complete waste of oxygen, and by far the most useless idiot I have ever encountered." Despite having somewhat chaotic early years of his life, Luka himself later told it was all just fine, and reporters made his childhood sound so much worse than it actually was. He said, quote, "The media is constantly trying to rewrite my history, life, and story to fit their sensationalist narrative. I was a very happy child, particularly before the age of 11. I enjoyed nature and spent time in our large yard. My grandmother always made me feel like a little prince." Still, many things were not quite right. It was Phyllis, worried about her grandson hearing things, speaking loudly and feeling scared, who first took Luka to a psychiatrist in 1999. He was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia, just like his father. At this point, Luka had dropped out of high school and went on disability before being admitted to a psychiatric group home. He He often expressed paranoid thoughts of the government following him and that his phone was bugged. Around 2002 or 2003, Luka began stripping at Remington's, a nightclub in Toronto, in addition to appearing in low-budget porn movies to get by. Still, Luka wasn't happy. He wasn't making enough money, and he felt everyone else was better than him. So while thinking of his next move, one of Luka's fellow dancers suggested that he become an escort instead. So he did. Around this time, Luka also officially changed his name from Eric Clinton Kirk Newman to Luka Magnotta. He began to reinvent himself. Instantly, it was evident the new career was a much better fit for Luka. He had 5 to 6 clients per day who very much enjoyed his company. And the money was not bad either. As Luka later recalled, quote, "I made a lot of money and had a lot of fun. Extremely generous clients allowed me to make 6 figures easily. One even bought me a condo. It was a great life." Of course, it wasn't all perfect. Most people don't set out a goal of becoming a sex trade worker. So many people have dark sides and they're willing to pay to do things to other people. Some not so pleasant things. Pretty much every possible twisted sexual act you can imagine was done to him, and sometimes even recorded and posted online, just like Luka himself would soon do. The bizarre story started shortly before Christmas in 2010, when the video "One Boy, Two Kittens" began circulating on discussion boards. The clip horrified many, and people wanted the kitten killer to be held accountable. And so a Facebook group called "Find the Vacuum Kitten Killer for Great Justice" was set up to find the identity of the man in the video. They analyzed it frame by frame to find any possible evidence and investigated the metadata of the footage. Eventually, people grew more and more convinced 28-year-old Luka Magnotta was the one they were looking for. Next, an 11-member online group called the Animal Beta Project, or the AB Project, emerged in early 2011, intending to stop Luka Magnotta before he killed again. A member named John Green in the online group said, "We felt he would continue, that he would harm other animals and eventually move on to something even more violent, like hurting a person." Finally, as the group took all their findings to the police, they opened a file on Luka in February of 2011. However, they didn't seem to be able to locate him, and the truth was, Luka had not hurt or threatened another person. However, that would soon change. Over the course of 2 days, from May 15th to May 16th, 2012, repeated references were made online to a new video, "One Lunatic, One Ice Pick," a video that had not even been posted yet. It seemed like someone was trying to create a buzz before the actual release. When the video was then published on May 25th, it was everything that the amateur sleuths had tried to warn the police about. It depicts a young naked male bound on a bed, initially alive and then lifeless. Someone is seen repeatedly stabbing the victim with an ice pick before dismembering the body with a knife. There were also reportedly acts of necrophilia and cannibalism. 3 days later, body parts of 33-year-old June Lin were found in several trash bags. Some were mailed across the country to government offices, while others were placed in front of an apartment building where Luka Magnotta rented an apartment. Furthermore, when CCTV footage showed June Lin entering the building with Luka the night he was killed, the police confirmed him as the suspect and issued a manhunt. By that point, Luka had fled to Paris, but using his own name, so he was pretty easy to track down. Still, just when authorities were after him in France, Luka took a bus to Berlin, Germany. It was like a cat and mouse game where Luka was always one step ahead of the police. However, his self-centered view of life eventually led him to his fate. Luka was tracked down in an internet cafe in Berlin on June 4th. When the police came in, Luka was, as stupid as it sounds, Googling his own name. On June 18th, 2012, authorities were concerned with using a commercial flight, so they flew him by a military plane to Quebec's Mirabel Airport. The highly controlled and secretive extradition operation was also to minimize media attention upon his return from Germany. Still, everybody was waiting for Luka's own words of why he had committed such a brutal crime. He said, quote, "Something forced me to do it. It gave me this weird energy. Something just happened in my brain." According to Luka, when he had been with Lin June, who he had met for sex through Craigslist, the voices in his head kept saying, "Tie him up. Cut it. Do it. He's from the government." Of course, we can't know for sure if Luka was telling the truth. Despite his schizophrenia diagnosis a decade later, some professionals thought Luka was too well organized around the time of his crimes, and he also seemed to push the mental illness narrative to authorities as soon as he was caught. Straight away, Luka provided the complete picture of his condition in his first interview, including symptoms, previous medical history, and a family history of illness, like he had made a list to make sure he remembers to mention everything. On June 19, 2012, Luka pleaded not guilty to all charges, including first-degree murder, committing an indignity to a body, publishing obscene material, criminally harassing Prime Minister Stephen Harper and other members of Parliament, and mailing obscene and indecent material. According to Luka, his mental illness left him not criminally responsible. However, the jury had a different opinion. On the 8th day of deliberation, they returned a verdict of guilty on all charges. Finally, after a 12-week trial in December 2014, Luka Magnotta was sentenced to life in prison with a chance of parole after 25 years. He has since gotten married behind bars to another inmate and murderer, Anthony Jolin. Even though Luka's insanity defense did not produce his desired result, I think we can all agree that Luka was terribly troubled from a very early age. Many of the people close to the case and some of those who helped link Luka to the videos thought that the system let him down. Maybe if he had received some help and treatment necessary all those years ago, June Lin and a few kittens would still be alive. That's 10-Minute Murder for today. Brief and bingeable true crime. Thanks for joining, and by the way, this whole Luka Magnotta story, there's a Netflix documentary that goes way into detail of this whole thing. It's called Don't F with Cats, Hunting an Internet Killer. Before you go today, make sure you are subscribed to 10-Minute Murder. It's absolutely free, and it ensures that you do not miss any future episodes of the podcast. Also connect with 10-Minute Murder on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Links for that are in the show notes of this episode, or you can just go to the search bar in Facebook or Instagram and type in 10-Minute Murder, and it'll pop right up. Thanks for listening. Be safe, and have a good night.